let's blast off and then let's get into it. Let's get invested. We're going to be talking about, obviously, it's 72 days out from the election. Campaign mania continues. Media starts demanding policies from Kamala camp. Trump is flailing as RFK endorsement comes amidst weirdo allegations. Longest 72 days ever. Yeah. Later, all might try the woke Norwegian game no one played, where you can be triggered as a superpower. Like, I love that, dude. Conceptually speaking, what game no one played where you can be triggered as a superpower? I personally find that conceptually a phenomenal game. Please just finish one fucking game. What happened with the Elden Ring DLC? Okay, shut the fuck up. Like, I will get back to Elden Ring. Do not worry. I literally have dropped From Software games in the past and then actively got back to it. Okay? Calm down. Don't fucking hit copiums. Don't hit copiums in the chat. Anyway. Black Myth Wukong. I have that on the docket as well. Any Wukong sponsor, perhaps? No, man. Wukong didn't fucking sponsor me, even though I'm a fucking CCP agent. Like, those motherfuckers did not sponsor me. Anyway, where are we? Where the heck? Do we have a blast off meme? The new Valve game looks chaotic. I do trust Valve though. Like, even with the new Valve, like, I mean, not even like, I trust Valve. So I think it'll be fine, but yeah, I don't know. It's like Dota, League, and Smite. It's a MOBA where you can be triggered as a superpower. Okay. It's a bit confusing when you first start up, especially if you've never played a MOBA. I have played MOBAs, but it's a action MOBA. Like, it's not a top-down MOBA. It's a oh damn, I didn't get that GQ blast off. I got this one first, so I blasted off with this. When are you gonna play a strategy game on stream? It's also a third-person shooter. Yeah, it's a shooter MOBA hybrid. We'll see how it looks. I mean, I don't know. It's a lot like Smite. I've never played Smite. I only know Smite is like the game that Misgive memes about, which is crazy. It's a crazy way to know a game. Like, you know, RIP to that game. It's the game that Misgive jokes about playing all the time, and I think he does play it. If you play Wukong, you can't bring up COVID, feminist propaganda, can't talk about China's gaming industry on stream, Lamau. No, you can do that. I think you can do that as long as you don't have a, it's probably a sponsorship, right? Like, if you get sponsored to play it, you can't do that. How else would they fucking regulate that, dude? That's crazy. Can you imagine? They're just like sitting around on Twitch every fucking day. Sitting around on Twitch every goddamn day, making sure that every single person that's like playing the game is not saying anything about virus, Wuhan flu. Look at the video titles. Yeah, this is why I want to play it. Because Dustborn, the game nobody asked for or wants. Dustborn is the worst game ever made. DEI infested Dustborn, roasted by gamers. This epic political road trip is an epic activist fail. Dustborn, full game walkthrough. Dustborn revealed trailer, official game trailer. Is this DEI the game? Like, I am a firm and committed believer in make good games. I don't care what your fucking personal politics are. Just make good content, okay? In general. Games, whatever. Whatever it is. Just make it good. If you don't make it good and you make it bad, I don't care, okay? It's dumb as fuck. Now, from what I understand, this game is ridiculous, okay? It's like, this game is literally fucking ridiculous. It isn't gay shit, it's just shit. No, that's why I want to fucking play it. You see this GIF of you? One easy hack to bypass DNC security? Yeah. You see how casually I passed through that too? Swoop. Yeah, except those weren't working anyway, so it doesn't matter. I hope you don't get kicked out of your room 2/3 of the way through the stream. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen here, okay? Yeah, Moo stream title for Wukong. I saw this. This is the title of the highest viewed Black Myth Wukong stream, Lamau. COVID-19 isolation, Taiwan is a real country, feminism propaganda. Wait, this is hilarious. Trail of Tears, Jim Crow segregation, human rights, Citizens United, safety, high-speed rail, strong mass line, Republic of Hawaii, 13 colonies, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, Edward Snowden, Scientology, Black Slave, school shooting, LV Music Festival. Okay, Chinese netizens have unleashed their counterattack, and they're not wrong. I like that this is what unites us. You know what I mean? Every country's got their own shit. I like that these are the Chinese memes about America. Like, they ain't wrong. The only difference is obviously like there is no restriction on this sort of thing in America. You could just kind of say it. Moon Moon's chat always spams in Chinese. Did you see the waiting screen he put up? What? Biggest Black Myth Wukong Twitch stream now? BRB. Okay, guys, stop fucking spamming. Enough. 10, a masterpiece. That's his mods that do that. It's peak cinema. I'm excited to play it. I heard it's like really sick. He's doing a chat controlled social credit score. Okay, to be fair, I'll just say it like this. I would respect it. I would respect China if I played it. So they should have sponsored me. I would have been great. I would have been great at never disrespecting China. Did you see this Asmongold take? When mom find the poop sock? No, your mods can never be that funny. Yeah, well, I also don't give mods that level of control over my stream that Moon Moon has. How does it feel to be the second most pro-Chinese streamer on the planet next to Comrade Moon Moon? What do you mean? He's trolling China, bro. He's disrespecting China by bringing up Taiwan. Taiwanese netizens were joking about how they want to reunify with mainland China to boost the reunification poll because of the game. Dude, this game is fucking awesome. It like, or at least like it seems like it's awesome that like it's so sick in China that they literally have like taken a national holiday basically. Okay, China mentioned once Hoscord. Yeah, and after he did pro-China stuff the last few days, could never be that funny. Stop doing slop tier Redditor memes. Very epic. Okay, I'm glad that he came around. Isn't Taiwan also banned the game? Wait, what? No. I think a lot of people don't understand the experience, like, or at least your experience about like Taiwanese people online comes from like Reddit for the most part. Okay. The thing is, like, Taiwanese people, at least in my experience, this is like somewhat anecdotally, are still like, they still got that Han dog in them. You know what I mean? Where they obviously don't like CCP. They don't like the Chinese government, but they still look at like Chinese prosperity as like, you know, a relatively good thing. Like, they're not going to fucking shit on Wukong as a game. You know what I mean? Like, overall, I'm talking about the people. If they might make decisions to just like not play it in Taiwan or some shit, but or they might be like, there might be some like nationalists that fuse the game on the platforms or whatever. But overall, like, the way I see it, they still see Chinese prosperity as like their prosperity as well. It's also their mythology. It's not like it's a different country, like in terms of their own mythology. It's like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you be excited if you're like, your multiple 1,000-year-old fucking mythology at this point is like being prominently displayed in the Western world? That's like that is abso-fucking-lutely a like, that's your culture, that's your mythology, and now Westerners are playing it and shit. Like, that's awesome. Like, I get it. I can't wait for the Goku mod. Yeah. All right. Yeah, this is what Dragon Ball was based on too. Yeah, I know. Wukong devs refuse to acknowledge their anti-women history law. Yeah, I don't give a shit. If they make a good game, they make a good game. You know what I mean? Isn't Wukong also woke though? Like, all this like anti-feminism shit is like relatively new. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like Western brain rot seeping through, seeping into like other fucking countries. Like, Wukong originally is like woke. So I don't know what the fuck we're talking about in terms of like the devs are fucking not woke. It's like, who gives a shit, dude? I thought it was anti-woke, the devs. I mean, I know, but I'm just saying, it's like, who gives a fuck? Also, it's doing numbers. What is this? I found great restaurants in Chicago by noticing where cops go. 90% of their job is doing jack shit, and they constantly are eating out in their big dumb cars. You can follow them like they're truffle pigs in the forest of the Piedmont, leading you to gold. No, they, I've seen this. I think with Chicago, because of the DNC, there was like a shit ton more. Because there was a shit ton more cops in Chicago. Like I saw this a lot. I saw this in Chicago a lot. There was cops constantly fucking eating at every restaurant we went to. Fun fact, Wukong in the original book is literally a feminist. He's pro-abortion, pro-women's choice. And one of the few people he legitimately respects as a higher up is a woman, Guang Yin. There are multiple cases in the book where he's shown advocating for women. Even in novels as old as Journey to the West, dumbasses. Yeah, there's like MPreg. In the OG work, there's MPreg, dude. There's MPreg. Fred says, I think the feminism thing is a stretch, but it's very funny that they're absolutely right that Wukong is explicitly pro-abortion. They visit Kingdom of Women, which doesn't need men because they can just drink from the pregnancy river. His homies accidentally do so, become MPreg, then they have to drink from the abortion river to fix that situation. Like, these guys are like, yeah, it's not woke. We love it. Yeah, I went to the river that gives you an abortion. Oh, I saw this one. I saw this TikTok this morning. It's fucking fire. It's so stupid, but I mean, it's...
Castro's in for the surprise of his life when he tries signing something with my poison pen. Well, what have Palestinians done for the Black Lives Matter movement?
I think the saddest part about this shit is that people do this to themselves. Like, they just... Like, I don't even think the CIA has to do much in terms of, like, sowing division and discord amongst, like, progressive movements nowadays. I think people just do it for free for like a little bit of the crumb of that clout. Watch the F signifier video. He talks about this. Yeah, I know. I have it. Prem told me about this as well. Also, shout out to the nice lady who walked up to me last night at the DNC and said, my daughter's a big fan of yours. Me, oh ha, thank you. You're Hassan the Hun, right? You're like a more handsome, less hairy version. That's crazy. My friend's dad can get you in contact with Pelosi. He loves you now. Okay, it's fine. We're good. I'm good on that, I think. Another Israel TikTok like that. Oh yeah, I saw this. This is when I saw this morning as well.
Oh shit. We're all gonna die. Oh my God. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, bro, the world could be ending. The world could be ending and America would be like, yo, hold on. Let's do a couple more weapons transfers, dude. We got to do a couple more hey. The world is ending anyway, okay? Another $20 trillion to Israel. We got to do it. We got to get it out the way. We got to get it out the way. It's just, this is something we have to do, okay? The Taliban patch dropped on Wednesday. Yeah, I heard. The Taliban are doing, the Taliban are the strongest anti-woke warriors out there, okay? When will the MAGA patriots finally recognize that they have allies in Afghanistan? Like, they're literally living the dream that the American Christian fascists want to experience. Okay, they're out there being like, hey man, you know, if you're a woman, you can't laugh in public. Okay, that's like they're putting, you know what, are doing the theory, the American right wingers are doing the theory, the Taliban doing the praxis. Okay, just saying. Like, anyway, protests correctly interrupt Nancy Pelosi on Colbert's live show. Colbert points out that the U.S. is arming Israel, but fails to use the word German. No, it has to be a secure Jewish democratic state. You know, it has to. The way that Colbert handled this was the most professional I've ever seen anyone take on the protesters. Yeah, I mean, they weren't going to shut the fuck up. You know, may we partake in some splendid Chinese brain rot. The Great Firewall is for hogs. What? Oh, that was a campaign violation. Chatters were saying that, like, Livingston County Sheriff's Office accused of breaking campaign finance law by hosting Trump visit. Oh, no, that wasn't. This was. The Michigan Bureau of Elections is now investigating allegations of the Livingston County Sheriff's Office violated the state's Campaign Finance Act by hosting former President Donald Trump this week. On Tuesday, Livingston County Sheriff Michael Murphy and his department hosted a Trump press conference, but thousands of residents online took issue, saying they found it largely inappropriate. Now we're learning it may also be against Michigan law. 7 News Detroit reached out to research professor emeritus at the Center for Political Studies at Michael Tragot, to ask if he has ever heard of a sheriff's department doing something like this in the past. Well, it's not very common because of the fact that it is illegal. He's referring to the Michigan Campaign Finance Act, which says public body or person acting for a public body shall not use or authorize the use of funds, personnel, office space, computer hardware or software, property, stationery, postage, vehicles, equipment, supplies, or other public resources to support political candidates. Dems are just Republicans now. What has been some of the most frustrating shit is that these liberal audiences will clap for whatever the fuck a Dem will say, regardless of it being a direct contradiction. You can't have a ceasefire and continue to arm them. They'll clap for Palestine independence, but also continue to support us, spending billions on weapons. Yeah. Read more, Lamau. 7 News Detroit reached out to the sheriff. I don't believe I violated the Campaign Finance Act. I welcome the investigation. Tragot says Sheriff Murphy has been found guilty of breaking the campaign finance laws before in 2018. This guy is just a violator, dude. He's like, he did not learn his lesson last time. Possibly because he was fined $100. And it's like, if that's the fine you get, like, you know, who cares? You eat that shit. It's nothing. Which is essentially just a slap on the wrist, and obviously didn't dissuade him from doing this again. Tragot said he believes these events are being called remarks in press conferences to avoid being labeled political events. Yeah. By the way, I love Mehdi Hassan coming after Richie Torres like crazy, okay? Richie Torres is a FARA violator, okay? Just remember that. Dear DNC, Representative Jeffries, Whip Clark, Kamala Harris, Democrats, how can you sound the alarm on the Trump threat while having Richie Torres in your party? Why haven't you asked him to apologize for being hosted by far-right Trump fans? Do Muslim voters not count to you? New. Bronx Representative Richie Torres was hosted. This was in May. Last night at the home of controversial far-right Trump supporter and PR exec Ron Tarosian, who's also known for an alleged association with Pamela Geller, who's an anti-Muslim activist, herself known for multiple controversies, including pushing Obama birtherism. Richie Torres is such a fucking freak, dude. He is such a freak bitch. Yeah. I saw Richie Torres also advocating for a specific type of Palestinian to speak at the DNC. The uncommitted movement would never demand a DNC speaking spot for Palestinians like Bassem Eid or Musab Hassan Youssef. Pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian voices who seek coexistence between Israelis and Palestinians, who resist the oppression of Palestinians by Hamas, who condemn the October 7th terror attacks as a cause of the war, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Yeah, the guy he wants is, I don't hate Muslims. I just think they are, what? Athletic? No, what is this? Or pathetic. And those who agree with them are below them. As long as Muslims believe that Allah hates non-Muslims, the Islamic violence and aggression will continue. I can't, there was a thing in front of it. I don't know why my brain patched that as athletic. I thought that was a question mark. I put a question mark there. Pathetic is what he said. Yeah, he is the son of Hamas, I think, right? This is the son of Hamas. He said he would choose one camel over every Muslim. Yeah, he's a fucking freak. Adam McKay on Dem Party now regarding Palestine versus GOP in the 2000s regarding torture. Yeah, Adam McKay, goated filmmaker, producer. You guys know. I remember in the 2000s when exchanges with the Republican family and friends went from the rich need tax breaks to will you relax about the U.S. torture program? It's fraternity hazing. It was a jump from a hard disagree to abominable. I truly couldn't believe it at the time. Now Dems have made that same jump. It's gone from the DNC has to take dark money to beat Republicans to will you get over the mass slaughter of women and children, naked corruption, extreme right-wing border policies? From a hard disagree to what the hell have you become? I know both American political parties have always been opportunistic and fairly craven. The shock for me is in seeing hard, this is what separates humans from animals. Red lines like torture, genocide, corruption just melt away. It's astounding how easily it happened 20 years ago and maybe even more so today. State Department may well be trying to abrogate the 4th Geneva Convention, turning Gaza and the West Bank into free fire zones. Equally as disturbing is how angered party loyalists have become at the suggestion of making demands from candidates or applying pressure. Yes, that's supposedly the entire point of democracy, but in 2024, applying pressure on candidates immediately becomes you want Trump to win. So that's what's really frustrating about this conversation. I think Jamel Bowie had a really interesting video on why the party tends to moderate in the general. And I've had Jamel Bowie on the show before, as you guys know. I will be taking a look at his commentary on the matter. Like, there are certain things that he says that I obviously agree with, but I also think that, like, this is an opportunity for the Democratic Party, considering how unpopular the Republican Party is. And the Democrats are running scared again, which is very frustrating to see because it genuinely changes the dynamic of like the duopoly that we have. It genuinely changes like the way people perceive certain things. And there are a lot of untested narratives out there. So I will be talking about like the Democratic Party pivot that you see regularly when the general election comes around, and why I think that's like personally a bad idea. Jamel blocked me back in the day for saying that Trump was not going to leave the White House peacefully. He unblocked me after January 6th. Respect. At least he unblocked you when he was like, all right, you're right. This is the video. He was replying to me. What is the logic of shifting to the center of conservative and not appeal to your base and the largest group? He runs the classic, like, this is the Democratic Party's like scared calculation. And obviously he agrees with that calculation, and he does have data to back it up.
This is an interesting question.
So I will be talking about this. Actually, you know what? Let's get started on that, and then we'll make fun of Republicans in a second. Okay?
What is the logic of shifting to the center or conservative positioning at the risk of abandoning your own base?
It's an 8-minute TikTok, but it doesn't matter. It's an 8-minute TikTok, but overall, it is a good question, and he actually has some solid data to back it up. It's older data, but it is the reason. You need to understand why the Democrats do this. And this is perhaps one of the best ways of describing why the Democrats do this in general. But I will offer you why I think there are some disagreements that I have here.
Why do that and not appeal for your base and the largest group of voters, non-voters? It's interesting because it's sort of like based on a set of misconceptions, very common misconceptions, but they're misconceptions that act as basically shibboleths in online progressive spaces. So here's what the misconceptions are. The first is the notion that progressives constitute the base of the Democratic Party. That is mistaken. The second misconception,
Jamel's a super lib version of you. Yeah, he is. He is super libbed up.
Is that there is such a phenomena as candidates appealing to voters who are in the center and then losing their base as a resort. The second conception sort of like rests on the first. And the third is this idea that non-voters are A, easy to mobilize, and B, once mobilized, will reliably vote for progressives. And none of these things are true, as much as they're very commonly believed. So I've talked about this chart before. It's from the Pew Research Center. It's based on surveys done in 2020 and 2021, but I think...
So progressive left comprises like lean Dem. Progressive left comprises in this survey 12% of the base, okay? And then the largest is the Democratic mainstays. Most identify as moderate, hold many core Democratic positions about government, race, social safety net, less liberal than the other Democratic-oriented groups on immigration, military, crime. Largest single group in the Democratic coalition, older, relative, low share of college-educated, okay? These are the people, okay? Actually, can someone send me the Pew Center link for this? Because I want to go through it piece by piece. Now, the thing I want to explain here is that it's not necessarily, this kind of stuff is not necessarily the best way to understand the dynamic, because you always have focus groups, or not even focus groups are silly as fuck, but you always actually poll individual issues, right? You're supposed to poll individual issues. One way to look at it is progressive economic ballot measures and progressive ballot measures in general. The other way to look at it is like single issue polls. Like Bernie Sanders went to Data for Progress recently and conducted this massive fucking this massive research on like favorability ratings for certain progressive policies, right? And they are broadly popular. That does not mean that like the Democratic mainstays are going to say no to those policies, because they're saying yes to those policies when they are captured in these other polls. Okay. So it's also important to recognize, now you have the 12% that lean Dem, that are the progressive left. They're very liberal across the board. Only group in which the majority say they are leaders who like leaders who identify as Democratic Socialists. Many back Sanders and Warren in Democratic primaries, overwhelmingly voted for Biden in the general. They are the most politically active Democratic-oriented group. The 12% of the Democratic Party's base, however, is also, this community is that 12%, by the way. Like, this is literally, they're talking about us, okay? They're talking about us, and then there's also, like, the sideliners, or rather the non-voters, the people that don't vote at all, but still absolutely engage in a shit ton, a shit ton of political activism. The point is, though, these guys make up a genuinely large chunk of the door-knocking force that the Democratic Party has, okay? That is an incredibly important constituency to the Democratic Party, and the fact that they don't actually recognize it as such is silly. They do recognize it. These are the people who protest. These are the people who pressure the Democratic Party, but they are, once captivated, once captured, once motivated, are the people who literally, and the poll shows that they already almost always end up voting for the Democratic Party regardless, right? But they're the door knockers, okay? That is huge. It's very important to understand, okay? But that doesn't even personally matter. Why doesn't this matter? Because the policies beyond that are fucking broadly popular, even amongst goddamn Republicans. That's why you look at a fucked up state like Florida, where people are voting for, like, the decriminalization. Bro, you seem delusional regarding RFK. How is RFK endorsing Trump a bad thing, in your opinion? Wait, what? Okay, your name is Coin Investor, so I suspect that you're like a Bitcoin guy, and you might be a little bit of a crank. So I'll get back to you in a second, okay? I do want to talk about the RFK stuff because I think it's pretty funny. I love RFK, but, you know, we'll get back to you in a second, okay? We're talking about something entirely different. But yeah, let's get back to the TikTok video now.
I think it's still good data, and it basically is breaking down the Democratic Party's electorate, and it's breaking it down by ideology and behavior. And the first thing I'm going to note is that the progressive left constitutes 12% of Democrats and lean Democrats. Now, they are the most politically active Democrats, but they are a distinct minority of the Democratic coalition.
They're not, because there is also another faction here, okay? Another faction here that is really important, that is surprisingly not under that same banner. When they get together, if the Democratic Party actually leans on its base, when they get together, they actually end up being larger than the Democratic mainstays, or at the very least the same number. The progressive left and the outsider left, very liberal on issues, particularly climate and race, vote Democratic despite dissatisfaction with both parties. Most say other nations better than the U.S. By far the youngest typology group, among the least politically active, okay? And by least politically active, I think they mean like not non-voters, likelihood of not being voters, okay? That together is 28%, which is the plurality alongside the Democratic mainstays. So that's really important to also acknowledge. So I don't think he's right about that when he says, when Jamel says, oh, you know, they're just 12% of the Democratic Party. They're not necessarily like a significant block, a significant force within the Democratic Party, because that's my audience. My audience is the outsider left and the progressive left. I mean, obviously there's like Democratic mainstays and everyone else in here as well, but like overall, this community is the 28% base in the Democratic Party, which is massive. That is actually alongside the fucking Democratic mainstays, the other 28%. So if you hyper focus on the Democratic fucking mainstays, you should be talking about the 28% outsider left and the progressive left in general.
The largest group within the Democratic coalition, the largest two groups, are establishment liberals and Democratic mainstays. Democratic mainstays of the two are the largest single group. They most identify as moderate. They are less liberal. This is key. They are less liberal than other.
Yeah, this part is also correct, though. Democratic mainstays mostly identify as moderate, hold many core Democratic positions about government, race, social safety nets, less liberal than other Democratic-oriented groups on immigration, military crime, largest single group in the Democratic coalition, older, relatively low share college educated, one of the most racially and ethnically diverse topology groups. The establishment liberals, the Ukraine flag and the bio guys, are solidly liberal, strong supporters of the Democratic Party and its leaders, upbeat about politics and nation, and favor compromise. They're highly politically engaged, one of the most educated topology groups, racially and ethnically diverse, similar age profile to the population as a whole. Okay? None of this actually factors in individual, like the individual favorability. None of this factors in the individual favorability of key policies that literally everyone thinks is good. Okay? That's important to recognize. You have to remember this. It's very important to recognize. Let's continue.
Democratic-oriented groups on immigration, military, and crime. They are older, they generally are less likely to have attended college, etc., etc. When you combine establishment liberals and Democratic mainstays, you have half.
What is this? I don't understand how you could be against the war in Gaza and feel bad for the Palestinian people and support the Democrats at the same time, which is currently a Zionist lobby. Hassan, you're a smart guy. Genuinely hear your thoughts about that. Wait, what? Dude, what do you mean? I don't understand what you're trying to say. Are you pro RFK or are you anti RFK? Are you pro Kamala Harris? Are you or pro Trump? Like, you're giving me confusing signals. Just wait for like fucking 5 minutes. Let me finish this goddamn video.
Of the Democratic coalition. So a Democratic candidate who's trying to appeal to their base, given what we know about the actual composition of the Democratic electorate, is probably actually going to take a more conservative than progressive-like line on immigration, crime. They're going to...
Wrong. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this at all. Okay. And here's why. I'm going to show you one study. Okay. One study. That's it. This is very important. Very, very, very important. Okay. I covered this yesterday. Medlock posted this yesterday on Twitter. It is something that I have been screaming from the mountaintops about for quite some time. Okay. The question he posed was, it's crazy how 2020 public was more pro-immigration than ever before. Okay. And in 2024, the public is more anti-immigrant than any time in the last 2 decades. This is for one reason and one reason only. That is, throughout the Trump administration, there was consistent counter messaging from the Dems against this insane anti-immigrant lies. When Biden came into office, they never counter messaged against the same reactionary lies the Republicans kept repeating. This is the direct result of that. Okay? People will lie to you because they have been deluded. They will say over and over again, no, it's because it became a massive problem. It became a massive problem under the Biden administration because immigrants were like running rampant around the country. They are not. Nothing has fundamentally changed about the way that immigrants have like actually, the immigrants have actually survived in this country. Nothing is different. Okay? Nothing. None of those metrics that the Republicans keep hammering on are the responsibility of the fucking migrants that came into this country. They're not. Okay? It's not. It's just pure abject fucking lies. All of the replies to this post was literally like, well, it's maybe because it's fucking, you know, migrants are doing the thing. Okay, but aren't you kind of doing the Will Stancil thing except for immigration, not economy? Like, there's no real issue. People are just propagandizing into thinking there is. Vibegration, if you will. No, as a centrist in the vibes idea, media drives views versus material realities drive views. I believe that sometimes it's more of more of one, and sometimes more of the other. In this case, the latter seems to be the likely big contributor. That's exactly what this is. It is absolutely vibe-based, okay? And the only reason why it's vibe-based and has nothing to do with material reality is that when it comes to these sorts of issues like crime, and when it comes to these sorts of issues like immigration, personal anecdotes are really, really powerful in creating a fucking narrative, okay? It's just what it is. And there is absolutely no one on the Democratic Party front that is actually advocating against this sort of thing. That's the difference, because the media overall is trying to cut narratives that say like, well, the inflation has gone down. Like, what the fuck do you poors want to talk about? Like, why are you still acting like you're suffering with your grocery bills? But you can't really change that reality. You're having a hard time paying for it, okay? Like, that's something that they're experiencing. Do you think that people are, when you look at the material reality, do you think people are getting fucking raped every day by migrants? Do you think people are getting robbed every day by migrants? No, it hasn't happened. That's not a real thing. I think you're missing an aspect of large-scale human trafficking of migrants on the border in northern blue cities. When this happened, a lot of northern liberals turned against migration. You think I'm missing that? I've been screaming from the rooftops about how insane it is that the Republican governors were able to do this. Like, and how insane it is that the Democratic federal government didn't actually immediately pump additional funds to fix the processing in states like Illinois and New York. This is something that I have been yelling about for quite some time. Yeah, that's what's changed between 2020 and now. It's insane. It's not insane, because even with, you're describing the exact same principle that I have in terms of crime and the way people perceive crime versus actual crime rates. People see migrants in large numbers standing in fucking lines and immediately go, migrant crime, something is off. Crime has not gone up in those places in spite of the fucking massive numbers of immigrants that were shipped to these places. So what does that mean? What does that tell you? That tells you that people with crime, they saw homeless people and they saw crime everywhere. I'm seeing homeless people everywhere. That means crime is everywhere. They see migrants and they think, oh my God, we're being invaded. It has nothing to do with the material reality and everything to do with how people perceive reality. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's literally it. People have a reactionary predisposition, especially in a country like the United States of America, especially when one party is not actively counter-messaging against the fucking other party, routinely doing white supremacist agitated propaganda. That's it. Okay? Blue city mayors like Adams played into this too. Yeah, he's a fucking freak ass loser who is right-wing as shit. What do you mean? Can you really convince people with data instead of vibes? Guys, data is reality. Vibes are not reality. If you're asking me like, well, you know, we have a much more holistic problem in terms of like people refusing to reckon with data and hyper focus on the vibes instead, then that is a much more consequential, much larger issue, okay, than one we can tackle right now. This is children left behind, or rather not left behind, that should have been left behind, okay? This is damn near multiple decades of like underfunding our public education system. You know what I mean? Like, I can't fucking tackle that part of the equation. Like, now we're talking about now we're having a meta conversation about like how fucking stupid Americans are. Okay. That's like what we're talking about now, which is like much larger problem. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tackle that when I'm trying to have a conversation about the fucking truth. Okay. This is where progressives are now in the minority on is the crime issue. We can't fight against perception. Yes, we can. I have for years. And ultimately, people have to reason with the fucking reality, with the data. How do they reason with it? When NPR starts writing about why are people so panicked about crime when it seems like crime is actually down across the board? When Vox starts writing articles like that, when the New York Times starts writing articles like that, then people come back to realize maybe this wasn't the truth. Maybe we've been duped. Maybe there is no top of the hour ad break, except there is one. Okay? You might perceive it as though it doesn't exist because obviously you're subscribed for $6 or for free. So you're like, oh, there is no top of the hour ad break. There is one. There is one. You know, you might not see it though. If you want to be a part of the people that don't see the top of the hour ad break, then like I said, all you need to do is subscribe. You can also get gifted a sub if you are lucky. Okay, here's the 3-minute ad break now. All you have to do is write a fucking article and try to pitch it to local fucking news a different way to avoid these sentiments. Yeah, they're not going to listen to you. Come on. Anyway. MP Sharky, thank you for the 5 gifted, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. You're 100% right about this. If you couldn't message then, the retail theft panic would still be going. I mean, it wasn't just me, though. Ultimately, people... It goes back to the same dynamic that I talked about with respect to mainstream media and like their other interest. Their interest, the interest in the mainstream media is like to obviously maintain a level of credibility. When push comes to shove, they have to reckon with the reality. Okay? And they have to start writing about the truth. We are now at that stage with mainstream media. They did the crime panic narratives. They leaned into that pretty heavy for quite some time. And now they've gotten around, they've come back around to like write about the actual truth, okay? We're there now. So they're playing catch up. And they're also doing that for immigrant crime too, because they probably recognize that this is something that Trump has been propagandizing on that is an abject falsehood. Genuinely, dude, you should see if you can leverage your status by reaching out to the newspaper like LA Times. I bet they take you up on it. No, dude. And also, no. That's it. I'm just going to say no to that. I think you guys are crazy. I have like what I'm talking about here that needs to change is not something that can be changed with like one article. Okay. Writing one article in the LA Times or New York Times or whatever is nowhere near close to the amount of impact that I have on my fucking stream every day. What we're talking about is like other journalists, like a shit ton of journalists and Sinclair Broadcasting not constantly pumping propaganda. This is a much larger fucking, much larger project than just like one guy writing a good article. There's people that write good articles every now and then on in all of these outlets. That doesn't change the narrative that much. Ran into a hater today and insisted you claim to be a boots on the ground journalist and said that he watched you for years. I don't get how people can be this delusional and proud of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand how people like break their brains so hard like that. I've literally never claimed to be a boots on the ground journalist. I don't know how someone can, I don't understand how someone can just like fucking watch me for years and then get duped by like a YouTube video so fucking hard like that. It's kind of like the police brutality propaganda, same difference. Personal anecdotes are very popular. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this border crisis narrative is incredibly annoying from the media, by the way. They are absolutely, yeah, this is March 15, 2021, feeding into this. And they're going to cause the Democrats to behave in a totally, even in a more reactionary way than they were already going to behave. It is so incredibly manufactured. There's always been a crisis at the border. When there are humanitarian problems occurring at the border as a consequence of the conditions there, 120 degrees they have to traverse in the desert, all that sort of stuff. And then also the American government adding on to the cruelty with the way that they choose to deal with people that are crossing the border, that are seeking asylum. There is an extra crisis on the border. There's always a crisis on the border. It's never stopped. The problem is the way media covers it. You can either cover it like you do under the Trump administration, which is somewhat honestly, from a moral grandstand point of view, like an actual honest point of view, by saying this is really messed up, this is really horrible, the way that we are treating these people is absolutely ridiculous. Or you can treat it in a way where you look at the border and you say, there's a gigantic crisis happening in the border currently, and it's really bad because so many people are coming in. So many people are coming in. So many people are coming in. What are we going to do? Depending on who is in charge, we either deal with it from... Man, that's crazy. That's crazy how fucking future... I have the foresight. I have the fucking vision. It's crazy. Everything I said back then happened. Okay? Everything I said back then happened. There was another really funny thing that I saw on Reddit. I'm going to see if I can find it on my Reddit. Someone posted something that I saw that was insane. Let me see if I can find it real quick. On the Hassan_Piker Reddit. Where is it? Where the fuck is it? It blew my mind. Where? Fuck. I'm trying to find it. Was Chipmunk Voice. That's not the one. It was about me predicting Kamala winning. Or it was about me predicting Kamala Harris becoming the president. But I'm trying to, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Help Neolib Mamos. My subreddit has been popping off apparently. I haven't even noticed it. I rarely even go on there, but I did see one and now I can't find it. No, not the one where I'm talking about Biden dying. There was another one. There was another Lisan Al-Gaib moment, but I can't find it now. Let me see. No, not the conservatives are weird one. No, everybody likes the guy who was like fucking foaming out of the mouth, screaming about children's genitals at the Lego store. Everybody thinks that that should definitely be the fucking national campaign strategy. Oh my God, bro, they go off of this. Hillary Clinton could fucking become president. I don't. Oh yeah, it is this one. Yeah, it is this one. I was talking about how fucking conservatives are weirdos, foaming out of the mouth, screaming about children's genitals at the Lego store. Everybody thinks that that should definitely be the fucking national campaign strategy. Oh my God. Bro, they go off of this, Hillary Clinton could fucking become president. I don't want to write that into the fucking, I don't want to put that in writing. I don't want the DNC to hear me say this, okay? You're going to make Kamala Harris president. That's what you're going to do. Can't believe I said that out loud. Oh my God. Oh no, now it's going to fucking happen. Dude. That's crazy. Dude, come on, dude. This is why all of my fucking haters, okay, are either outed as pedophiles or pedo adjacent or constantly find themselves wrong. Okay, they constantly find themselves so completely and utterly wrong because I'm doing analysis. They are just repeating what they read on the New York Times, if they do read, or Wikipedia pages, or fucking, they don't have their own fucking points of view. They don't have the same experience that I have. Okay, like this is from this past year, April 19th, 2023, talking about how weirdo conservatives running on their own fucking fumes and thinking that this is going to be a smart way to campaign around that is going to cause them to fucking lose to a person like Kamala Harris. Your ego is very small as well. Bro, come on. I get shitted on. I get dookied on a fucking regular basis. Let me have this, dude. Like, let me fucking have this. There is so much Hasana's bad shit out there in the commentary space, especially from like Divorcelli, Pettorelli, okay? And all their fucking astroturfed movement from their orbiters and shit, okay? Yeah, sometimes I'm gonna fucking stand on business. Sometimes I'm going to actually show you, like, look, it's so strange how things I have said will happen are happening, especially in a moment like this when they are literally happening, okay? Like, I don't think this is ego. This is me just like, once again, proving to you that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm going to run it again. Republicans running on this fucking weirdo ass narrative is going to cause Kamala Harris to win, is what I'm saying. It would cause Hillary Clinton to win. Here, let's run it again.
Your own children.
Sir, you're
Spend your money in a place that doesn't do that to kids.
Sir, you're about to get trespassed.
Thank you.
Oh, dude, I wanted them to fucking beat his ass. That would have been awesome. Yeah, no, everybody likes the guy who was like fucking foaming out of the mouth, screaming about children's genitals at the Lego store. Everybody thinks that that should definitely be the fucking national campaign strategy. Oh my God. Bro, they go off of this, Hillary Clinton could fucking become president. I don't want to write that into the fucking, I don't want to put that in writing. I don't want the DNC to hear me say this, okay? You're going to make Kamala Harris president. That's what you're going to do. Can't believe I said that out loud. Oh my God. Oh no, now it's going to fucking happen. I made a dick out of the Legos at the Lego store, and then they kicked me out. Now I wanted to make this. Yeah. Turns out the DNC was watching. Anyway, I should fucking clip this and put this on TikTok. Austin Knox, put that shit on TikTok, man.
I know God.
Put the date right up there too. I need to do like a Hasanabi fucking predictions and what has happened by going back to like some of my older shit, like even this one on immigration, this one on fucking Republicans running on like weirdo narratives. Remember all the pedos who were chirping after you said focusing on trans people constantly is weird to that son of the football player claiming you had to destroy them with facts and logic? Yeah. I mean, that again is now like a prominent fixture in the Democratic messaging, which is to constantly fucking be like, why do you care about this? That's crazy. You're behaving in a weird way. I was right about fucking retail theft as well. It was complete fucking bullshit. A Hasanabi versus Hasanabi TikTok where current you is vindicating old you. Yeah. You need your editors like a little bit to do a comp of you being right. Yeah. On crime panic narratives, I've done so many fucking videos on that shit. Completely correct. On greedflation, I've done videos on that. Completely fucking vindicated. On immigrant narratives and how people will become more right wing if there is no Democratic Party counter messaging on this shit. If the media keeps pumping this like immigrants are destroying society shit. Completely right on that too. Anyway, how do we get here? The reason why I was talking about this is because I was originally watching the Jamel Bowie 8-minute TikTok. Okay. Whoever says it's ego doesn't like that you're spoiling the situational dramedy we're living in. Yeah, I know my mic is quiet compared to the PC volume. I know. Okay. Don't forget about the Bitcoin, bro. I mean, that was another one. That was another one that I mean, that was the easiest lock when I said NFTs are the biggest fucking phony bullshit of all time and that you will be duped and you will lose money. Many people yelled at me about that. They were very upset about that. Here, I'll increase my audio a little bit more, okay, for you. Hopefully this will be a little bit better for you. All right, this should be, I increase my audio a little bit more. Hopefully that'll work. I mean, you're not even a prophet or anything. Simply applying historical materials from the present conditions leads to great leftist analysis. Message to libs. Exactly. All right. But the reason why I was talking about that is because a lot of this stuff, in terms of like how fucking reactionary Democrats have become on immigration, is a direct consequence of not actually constantly fucking telling the truth to your base. Okay? If you don't do that, if you don't consistently tell the truth to your base, then obviously the only narrative that is like the only narrative that's top of mind, okay, is going to be right-wing narratives, and they're going to be duped by it. Another perspective about you at the DNC that you might find interesting.
Out of the convention.
Yeah. Oh, I saw this one earlier today. Hold on. Well, it's not. I like that TikTok. I saw that this morning. Hold on. Let's just finish this, and we'll do that.
Talk a lot about compromise. They're probably gonna. They'll probably hit kind of standard issue Democratic views on the social insurance state, on education, on healthcare. They're gonna actually sound a lot like Joe Biden, for example. They're gonna sound a lot like Barack Obama in the 2012 campaign. The other thing is that base vote.
The reason why he says Barack Obama in the 2012 campaign is because he doesn't want to say Barack Obama in the 2008 campaign, which was one of the most popular, one of the most historically popular candidacies and runs of all time for the Democratic Party. And it directly counters his narrative right here. And that's why he's not talking about that, because Barack Obama in 2008 ran a progressive campaign and literally, like, Barack Obama historically won the fucking Cuban vote in Florida. Okay. This has never been a thing that a Democrat has been able to achieve. Why? One must ask the question, why? This is one of the most reactionary voter bases. Okay. The Cubans in the chat will fucking tell you. Okay. They know their parents. They know their uncles. They know their aunties. Okay. They know how their family members operate. Okay. They are omega conservative. It is an incredibly conservative voter bloc. How the fuck did Barack Obama win the Cuban vote in Florida? How? Because he won younger Cubans with his message of progress. Okay? How did he win Indiana? He activated a base of support that truly believed he would be the hope and change candidate with progressive campaigning.
There's almost by definition are voters who always turn out for an election. They are stalwart voters. They're almost always going to cast a ballot. And so in terms...
Why the fuck is Gusano blocked in this chat? Because people always chirp at me about it.
In terms of those voters like least likely to sit out an election, you're talking about a base, almost by definition. There is a danger, right? There is a cohort of Democratic voters who are not all that reliable, but do hold progressive views, and they're significant enough that they could influence the results of an election depending on the election. But they're not really part of the base. They're kind of like a base adjacent. Not only are they base adjacent, but in a presidential election where, again, this is what we're talking about, the pivotal voters do occupy something close to the moderate or even right of center of the median voter.
This is, in my opinion, this is post hoc rationalizations specifically that justifies the Democratic Party's moderate swing that they engage in every fucking general election. Okay? It is untested because since 2008, We have rarely ever had a Democrat come out and swing for the fucking fences with progressive messaging on the general, because the Democrats always end up going to the moderate base. Okay. They always moderate their positions when the general election comes around, with the exception of 2008. I would also say that Joe Biden, when he mentioned Joe Biden, he was like, oh, this is what it looks like, whatever. On certain issues, Joe Biden actually also went to the right on like funding the police, for example, but he did not go to the right on key issues like immigration. So how do you explain that? Joe Biden was literally more woke and more progressive than Kamala Harris in 2020 on the issue of immigration. Joe Biden ran on pathway to citizenship. Joe Biden ran on directly reversing all of the Trump administration's anti-immigrant agenda. Joe Biden literally ran on more progressive messaging than Kamala Harris is running on right now with respect to immigration. Now, obviously, the reason why Kamala Harris is running on a right-wing slant on immigration is because of Joe Biden now. For the record, just make no mistake, Joe Biden himself changed his attitude by 2024 because they retriangulated. Okay? But the idea, but why evidence clearly shows pushing towards progressive policies gains them more votes. Look how much momentum the Walz pick gave Kamala, because donors are the real constituency in both parties. Donors don't like progressive policies, because progressive policies, if the Democrats actually ran on progressive policies and then fucking turned and pushed for progressive policies and passed progressive legislation, would end up harming, in the short term, harming the profit margins of a lot of these sectors. And these leaders in these sectors are the ones who are donating to the Democratic Party. They don't want that. They want deregulation and tax breaks. That's it. That's it. That is the major reason.
That cohort is probably going to be larger than these base adjacent Democratic voters, in part because, remember, voters are not evenly geographically distributed. And so you can maybe, I guess you can rally them, but if all of them are in California and New York and Illinois, then it doesn't really get you anything. It doesn't really buy you anything in terms of the election. And
yeah, he's also suspecting that the large majority of these like progressives are only in California, are only in places like New York. And that's also not true. Okay? That's also not true. The idea that, like, if that was the case, Bernie would not have won Oklahoma in the Democratic primaries in 2016. Okay? That's not correct. There are a shit ton of people, especially in a fucking primary, when you have someone like Bernie be able to activate any fucking people that are outside of the periphery of the normal Democratic Party establishment liberals to go and participate in the primary, that's a big fucking deal. Okay? That's a major deal, because primary voters are the most primed voters for the Democratic Party. They're the MSNBC watchers. They are the institutional voters of the base of the Democratic Party. They're not the fucking woke lords. They're not the younger voters. They only come out in the general election. That's why I always say, whatever is happening in the primary, you have to 10x for the general, right? If you have 100,000 uncommitted voters in a state, that means there's going to be 10x the number of uncommitted voters that literally don't end up voting, right?
Assuming you can, like, depress the base, if you lose support of the Democratic base and those voters are concentrated in heavily Democratic states, but you gain in turn moderate and conservative voters, then yes, your popular vote total goes down, but you're more likely to win the national election, the Electoral College. And so it's a mistake, I think, to think that the relationship is as straightforward as you're portraying it. So now we have this issue of non-voters, and it's very common.
So this part is like definitely the part that I somewhat agree with, the non-voter part. But like overall, he's saying that like we're making an the Democrats are making an electoral college calculation in order to activate more moderate people, right? Like more moderate voters. I'm not convinced that that is the reality. I'm not convinced that that is the reality at all, especially when you have imaginably progressive ballot measures that are not directly attached to a Democrat winning by larger margins than the Republican is winning in those very same states, whether it be Florida, whether it be Kansas, whether it be Kentucky, all of these other fucking places where people are begging for progressive policies. Not only that, but also This is very important. Here are the most popular policies in swing states: Arizona, Georgia, Minnesota, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, or Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Expanding Medicare to cover dental, vision, and hearing. Okay? Amongst all likely voters, strongly support is at 61%. So there's 84% support, 10% opposition. That's at plus 74. Okay? Cut the cost of prescription drugs in half by making sure that Americans pay no more than what they pay in Europe or Canada. Plus 73% net favorability. Like all the way down to the fucking PRO Act, which is the lowest, it still has a plus 31% net favorability. Okay? I remember you saying that the best bill is a nameless, faceless bill, i.e. not attached to Democrats or Republicans' names. Exactly. I do think that you're not considering the Trump factor, though. There are a large number of Republicans wanting to bail that could really bolster the Dem base, but would make the party more conservative. That's what they're playing for. Yeah, it's fucking bullshit. That's fine with Joe Biden. This is Kamala Harris now, okay? It's Harristown, baby. Harris Waltz. That's the ticket. It's no longer a Biden-Harris ticket, okay? It's the Harris Waltz ticket. That calculation is bunk, okay? That calculation, by the way, was going to cost the fucking election for Joe Biden anyway. That's the problem. No, this is the entire population of likely voters, okay? Likely voter population, not just Democratic voters, not just Republican voters. It is the likely voter population, people that you are supposed to win over. So that is the problem. Generally, when the party dominates a state, they actually tend to be more moderate. California is probably a lot more Democratic mainstays. Oh, I think the issues they are moving on are the wrong ones. Dude, if that was the case, for the record, I just want to mention something, okay? If tacking right was a successful strategy, the Democrats would not be getting fucking cumstered by like 30-point margins right now on immigration to Donald Trump, versus in 2020 when they were a lot closer or even sometimes defeating Donald Trump on the issue of immigration. Please. Obviously, there's other factors at play there. Donald Trump was the incumbent and obviously was doing horrific shit. But most significantly, there was counter messaging against immigration for 4 fucking years. So much so that you had literally seated representatives saying like abolish ICE and shit. Okay. Immigration wasn't even an issue until 2016. And as you said, they stopped counter messaging. I know. And that's fucking stupid. How do we not understand that? That's my point. On the issue of foreign policy, Hillary Clinton was seen as a war hawk, understandably, by the broadest majority of Americans, okay? Donald Trump, literally, this is like completely, this is, for some weird reason, like, this has just been memory hold, but Donald Trump literally ran as a dove, okay? Donald Trump ran to the left of Hillary Clinton when it came to war. A lot of people forget this reality. So Kamala Harris repeating that mistake in repeating the Hillary Clinton 2016 mistake in 2020 is fucking awful. That is the worst thing I heard. Okay, we need the most lethal military force. Like, that is the dumbest fucking thing you can do. The dumbest thing you can do. And people are basically, one, going back to their worst instincts in terms of how the Democratic Party communicates their message, and also trying to do post hoc rationalizations after the campaign puts out this kind of right-wing sentiment. I hear it even in my own community, okay? I hear it in my fucking own community. People are yelling at me. I see the TikTok comments. People are so mad. They think I switched up. They think like, all Hassan cares about is fucking Gaza. All Hassan cares about is Gaza. I'm not even talking about Gaza. Gaza is one aspect of this, okay? That's the other reason why I show you all of the other instances where I've been completely fucking right. Because the reason why I need you to understand why I'm showing you like the older videos of me correctly calling out what will happen in the fucking 2024 election is because I'm correctly telling you this right now, and people will not listen to me, just like they didn't listen to me in all of those other instances. That video from 2021 talking about immigration. This is going to be a major problem if the Democrats don't counter message. And it has become a major problem because the Democrats did not counter message. The media did not actually fucking cover it adequately. It's because I'm right. I was right back then, too early. People yelled at me back then. I'm right now, too early. People are yelling at me now. Let's get back to this, though.
More likely to win the national election, the Electoral College. And so it's a mistake, I think, to think that the relationship is as straightforward as you're portraying it. So now we have this issue of non-voters, and it's very common to believe that non-voters are this like secret and hidden progressive behemoth that if you can just mobilize, you can kind of just win elections with no problem. But again, that's not true. Non-voters are disproportionately young and disproportionately non-white, but that doesn't mean they're disproportionately liberal. Yeah, the voters who skipped 2016 and 2018 but showed up for 2020 split almost evenly between Biden and Trump. There was no meaningful difference in their in the distribution of votes among that cohort. And there's actually good reason to believe that at least with Trump on the ballot, non-voters are more inclined to support him over.
Wrong. This part is also wrong. Activating non-voters is very difficult. He's right about that. Okay? He is right as fuck about that. Okay? Especially in the primary, Bernie Sanders failed because he was Bernie Sanders' strategy in 2020, in 2019 in the primaries was to basically bring out non-voters into the primaries. Impossible. Okay? Most people, when I was door knocking, literally didn't even know that there was a fucking primary. They were like, I like Bernie. But they didn't even know that there was a primary happening. Okay? But the general is different. It's easier to actually activate non-voters in the general. Having said that, okay, the reason why non-voters swing in Trump's, or the idea that they're going to swing in Trump's favor because they're not like mythical, they're not like these, they're not these like progressive people is wrong, okay? It's not about them being progressive. It's about what policies the Democrats are putting at the forefront of their campaign. If the Democrats don't ever offer progressive policies that would greatly improve their lives, then we can't even test whether or not it's a successful strategy, with the exception of 2008 with Barack Obama. That's why there were so many double Obama to Trump voters that went from Barack Obama to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump in 2016 presented himself as a moderate force on a lot of these issues. Okay? He presented himself as a counter to Donald Trump. White supremacy played a big role in this, of course, as well. But like, there were so many fucking double Obama to Donald Trump voters. Well, how the fuck did that happen? Everyone kept saying, well, how the fuck did that happen? It's because they literally were activated as non-voters originally that had never voted, but Barack Obama's message was appealing to them. They voted for Barack Obama. They were like, all right, I'll give it another shot again. And their material conditions did not change in a positive manner. So they were dissuaded from ever voting for the Democrats ever again. So they went and they voted for the guy who was the anti-establishment pick, Donald fucking Trump. Okay, shut up. Nobody cares about you, says Moisty Toenail 69.
Center for the Democratic.
That's crazy. The poll is mostly the Dems' economic platform, is it not? No, that's the problem. The Democratic Party's policies are never actually fully progressive. They don't run with progressive messaging on the forefront of their campaigning, with the exception of 2008 with Barack Obama.
The Democratic candidate. The other thing to remember is that non-voting, like voting, sticks. If you are not accustomed to voting, if you do not regularly vote, it is extremely difficult to turn you into a voter, and vice versa. If you routinely vote, it's actually very difficult to make that kind of person.
This part is absolutely correct. If you don't vote, it's very hard to get you to come out and vote, okay? And if you do vote, it's hard for you to not vote.
A non-voter, it's when you're thinking about campaign resources, you have a limited amount of resources and a limited amount of time. It makes more sense to go after undecided voters than it does to try to convert non-voters into voters, because not only are you putting a ton of resources into the effort, but there's no guarantee that once you've converted a non-voter to a voter that they're going to vote for you. So yeah, I mean, if you're kind of thinking rationally, I think if you're looking at what the actual electoral picture is, then if you are a campaign, it makes the most sense. If you're a campaign, again, in a U.S. presidential election, it makes the most sense to go after undecided voters, moderate leaners in the swing states, and to kind of appeal to them at all costs. And I'll note that the rhetorical emphasis doesn't always translate into an actual policy.
I think that's one of the funniest parts about this is that, okay, of course, Jamal Bowie rarely ever talks about Gaza in general, but like that argument is 100% primed for Kamala Harris separating herself from Joe Biden on Israel. Okay? Because what he's saying, if true, okay, and there's some truth to it, literally means that Kamala Harris should immediately separate herself from Gaza policy on Biden and actually force Biden to immediately implement a ceasefire and the only way to do that, obviously, is by denying weapons transfers to Israel so that they fucking are forced to play ball with the United States of America, because there are no voters that are out there saying, I'm going to vote for the Democratic Party if Israel continues its genocide, but I won't do it if Israel's genocide is stopped. But there are a shit ton of voters that are saying they're more likely to vote for the Democratic Party in the swing states if a ceasefire is achieved. That's it.
Donald Trump in the 2016 election downplayed the Republican Party's opposition to social insurance, did not abandon it, but downplayed it. And likewise, I think what Democrats are likely to do this fall is to play up the party's support for border security, which has been a consistent thing going back to Obama, and downplay its support for comprehensive immigration reform. When it comes to actually crafting legislation and making policy decisions, there's a good chance that it will try to satisfy all the various interest groups and players within the coalition. So in the case of Republicans, Trump may have downplayed opposition to social insurance, but totally tried to cut the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid. And his budgets included cuts for Medicare and Social.
He's right about this part. He's right about the Trump part. He's wrong about the Democrat part, because the Democratic bill is in front of us right now. And Kamala Harris keeps saying that's the bill that they wrote, even though it is the Republicans that wrote the bill, and there is no compromise. There is literally no fucking compromise there for the Democratic Party. Okay, his immigration take is kind of fucked. We will disagree on this one. What do you mean? Kamala's speech on Gaza was almost worse than Biden's remarks on Monday night. The self-determination line was good, but some of Biden's comments on the urgency of implementing a ceasefire Monday night were actually better, and he wasn't as adamant on defend itself. Yeah. No, Kamala's foreign policy was literally dog shit. Like, I'm talking Bush-era Republican neocon shit, okay? Like, unimaginably bad. And so many people have been coping and claiming that it's because she wants to... so many people have been coping and saying, oh, it's because like she's a woman and she needs to look muscular on foreign policy, because as a woman they're going to see her as weak. Hillary Clinton literally fucking outflanked the Republicans on reactionary foreign policy, and Trump was seen as the moderate. How the fuck are we literally trying to do that? Now, obviously Hillary Clinton was, unimaginably unpopular and was a very bad candidate for many different reasons, right? Kamala Harris doesn't have those same weaknesses, like 30 years of like Oppo research and an entire cottage industry planted on, surrounding Hillary Clinton being fucking, an awful monster with all these conspiracies and shit. But even then, immigration enforcement is popular among all voters, including Latinos. Reform is less popular because voters don't see it as an issue that impacts them. Yeah, I already covered that base. H. Bizzle, you're wrong. The only reason why immigration enforcement is seen as popular is because the Democrats never fucking counter-messaged. The reason why the Democrats were popular on immigration in 2020, more popular on immigration in 2020 versus 2024, is quite literally because the Democrats had 4 years of counter-messaging against Trump's incredibly reactionary right-wing immigration policies, okay? If you don't counter-message, then people don't fucking think about it from a different perspective. Why would they? Democrats completely accepted the right-wing framing on this issue. They did not counter-message for 4 years, completely accepted the right-wing framing on this issue, even though it is built on complete fabulous fabrications, lies, hysterical, right-wing, white nativist lies. Okay? If I had to sum up my fears about the present conjuncture succinctly, I could simply say that I think this post is correct. Liberal hawk bros, we have never been more back. In fact, we never even left. It's true. No American votes on this basis. No American that is voting for the Democratic Party votes on this basis. I'm not wrong. Polling shows it. I'm not wrong. Polling shows that Latino voters don't give a fuck about immigration reform when tested. This is mainly because they don't see themselves as immigrants. Most Latino families in the U.S. are generations of family in the U.S. Oh my God, dude. When you look at places like Arizona, when you look at places like New Mexico, when you look at places like Nevada, there is a shit ton of first generation Latino voters who have undocumented fucking parents, dude. What are you talking about? They're born on U.S. soil. They're citizens. Those Latino voters, first generation Latino voters that are born into families with undocumented migrant parents, absolutely care about immigration in this situation. Stop using polling from activist groups. Use polling from independent sources. Tested their Latino crosstabs shows things like inflation, cost of living, retirement security, and healthcare are all more important. Okay. The other, you are a Riri. Can we box? If you win, I'll give you $2,500. If I win, I get nothing. I want to embarrass your dumbass. Why the fuck would I ever say yes to that? The fuck am I going to do with $2,500 that you're not going to even give me? And not only is that a fact, but what you are forgetting in this analysis, in this calculation, is something that I keep reiterating and keep repeating, which is untested narratives in the marketplace run rampant, okay? They allow the Republicans to completely captivate the entire field, okay? I don't know why you're refusing to hear me out on this. Democrats for 4 years did not fucking counter message against the Republican reactionary sentiment on immigration. Okay? Lib Bizzle is the most powerful chatter, considering that he also literally gets pay stubs from the DNC. So I can't even yell at him about, show me the fucking pay stubs, but he's back. Lib Bizzle, why did the Democratic Party come across as more popular on the issue of immigration in 2020 than they did in 2024, than they do now in 2024? Answer me this question. Why? Why did the Democratic Party lose out in areas where they actually ran with crime is running rampant narratives, like in New York, than they did everywhere else? We should emphasize reform to the immigration process, but enforcement is the issue. We need to win to do it. Not only are you silly about this take, you're objectively wrong on this take because you're not answering my question. Why was the Democratic Party more popular on immigration in 2020 when they objectively ran on a progressive campaign, a significantly more progressive campaign in 2020 on immigration than 2024 in comparison to Donald Trump? Same guy running against the same fucking guy. That's number one. Answer me that. The second question that I have for you is, when crime panic narratives were running rampant, why did the Democrats actually perform worse in the 2022 midterm elections in areas where they capitulated to the crime panic narratives? Okay. Illegal crossings were dramatically lower in 2020 and it wasn't as salient as an issue. You're so wrong. Immigration was a massive issue in 2020. It was a massive, massive issue in 2020. It just was a massive issue that favored the Democratic Party more because we analyzed it from the perspective of how cruel the Republicans were being. That's the difference. It was an issue that the broad majority of the public actually looked at and went, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy that the Republicans keep running the caravan narratives and then simultaneously advocating to separate children. Okay? Because crime wasn't up and people locally tuned out messaging because of that. Immigrant crime is not up either. Immigration, undocumented migrants coming into the country is not a fucking problem. That's why the Republicans have to lie and say they're stealing your jobs and they're fucking raping your daughters. That's why they have to tack it to something that is a problem. But because there is no problem, they just make up the narrative. How do you not see this? That's my argument. And kids in cages was absolutely a salient narrative in the 2020 election, which is why the Democratic Party was significantly more popular on the issue of immigration in 2020 than 2024. Okay? The media has raised the issue and put us in a box, and now we can't just be about process reform because crossing the issue has more salience. Now, the other part of this is you're talking about enforcement is the issue. We need to win on it. We should emphasize reform on the immigration process. Democrats are not doing that. The Democratic bill is not doing that. That's another aspect of this that I'm very frustrated by. You know this as well as I do because you're a fucking DNC operative that the Democrats used to do push-pull on immigration. Okay? Compromise, 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 always. What they would do is they would do border enforcement, but then they would also get the dreamers. Okay? That's how Obama played it. Right? That's why he was a deporter in chief, but also simultaneously he won certain things for immigration, and that it became an objectively insanely popular thing. So popular that even Trump couldn't fuck up the dreamer situation because it had 90% approval rating. Amnesty for Dreamers has 90% approval rating. 90, okay? 90%. Why? Because Obama fought for it. It happened. Well, not Obama. Dreamers fought for it. Obama pushed it. It happened. And guess what? It is impossible to fucking now go back on a policy like that. 90%. I'm not saying immigrant crime is up. It is an issue because the corporate media is beholden to the right-wing spin machine, and they raise the salience. There's nothing we can do about that now. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. There are so many things you can do about that. Okay? There are things that the Democratic Party should have done for fucking 4 years that they did not, but they should have. Wait, hold on. What the fuck is going on? I think... Hold on, I gotta... Anyway. Oh, nope, that's not happening. All right. I thought that my delivery was here. Even if everything he said was correct, it's still immoral and we should not capitulate. Yeah, obviously, that's a... I'm not even talking about the morality argument, though. This is an argument that's supposed to favor the Democratic Party. That's the argument that people are making. That's the argument that H. Bizzle is making. And I'm literally fucking telling... They did not do push polls on it when tested in groups, in polling, and even progressive polls. The general public as a whole wants enforcement and a better process. Then they say enforcement is an issue bigger than fixing the process, even though they agree the process is fucked and actually like and want immigrants. Brother, this is something that I've talked about so much, okay? Americans are objectively insane on many issues, but especially immigration, because Americans are actually, in comparison to our European counterparts, much more understanding of migrants because this is a nation that has been kept up by immigration, okay? This is a nation that has actually been able to not have issues with birth rates, specifically because of the migrant population, okay? We are an engine that runs on migrants, okay? That's it. So while on the one hand, when you let crime panic narratives run rampant, immigrant crime panic narratives run rampant, people end up having a 60% approval on mass deportation. That's crazy. Okay, that's insane. That is Hitlerian as fuck. The Democrats should not be capitulating to that because they're not going to win by tacking right. That's it. They never win when they tack right on this stuff. They don't win on these issues when they tack right. Okay, here's another fucking Medlock post that I want to show because they tested that narrative as well. They tested the narrative that you're talking about in terms of marketing, and it shows that it doesn't fucking work. Where is it? 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 He posted about it. He posted another fucking he posted about it when he talked about the where the fuck is it? He looked at marketing crosstabs and saw that like when Democrats put immigration to the forefront, when Democrats put immigration in the forefront of their conversation on their political messaging, they still were failing, okay? Nobody believes them because the issue is built around hysteria. It's not a real problem. You're trying to captivate people who have been duped by the media into thinking that it's a real fucking issue. We don't need it to work. We needed to undercut the GOP messaging frame. If they don't have, okay, well, now you're, again, proving the point that I'm making. You don't undercut the GOP messaging. You don't undercut the GOP messaging, especially at a time when border, I think he deleted that tweet because the data was AI driven. Okay. Regardless, when border apprehensions are actually at an all-time low now because of the fucking stringent immigrant protocols that Biden put in place already, okay? It is not a fucking real issue to begin with, but it's especially not a fucking issue to begin with. You don't have to you don't undercut them by adopting their messaging. You actually defend your fucking policy, defend your side of the argument. Okay? You actually counter message. You don't undercut their message. It is a failure if you try to undercut their message. We don't need to work. We need to undercut the GOP messaging frame. If they don't have immigration, they already don't have immigration. And they would never have immigration if they would never have immigration as a thing that they can push for if Democrats basically kept repeating, look at how bad it's going to be to do immigrant detention centers. Remember how bad that shit was when you had fucking children in cages? Trump wants to bring that shit back. That was a successful narrative in 2020. It will be a successful narrative in 2024. Just literally point to how Trump says all the time that hundreds of thousands of Americans are being murdered by migrants. 23 is the number. 23 homicides in 2024. When I told this to Ro Khanna, he was like, what? That's crazy. Motherfucker, you're a literal sitting representative. How the fuck do you not know this? How has not a single Democrat looked at the numbers? It fucking blows my mind. 90% of all drugs coming over the border are apprehended at regular border crossings, and 90% of the people that are apprehended for trafficking drugs are literally American citizens, okay? So on that front, it's fucking complete nonsense that the Republicans try to tie the fentanyl crisis to immigration. Republicans also try to tie murders to immigration. 23 homicides from undocumented migrants. You described the simplest counter messaging. He reacted like you invented nuclear fusion. It's fucking ridiculous. And the reason why the majority of Democrats are like so fucking reactionary on immigration is because the Democrats don't ever fucking point this out. Point it out. Can you remind chat where we can find this information again? Yes, cbp.gov and dhs.gov, okay? Two incredibly woke departments with a .gov behind them. Customs and Border Patrol.gov, Department of Homeland Security.gov. All of this information is readily available. Fuck. Numbers don't matter. Perception matters. I am going to literally die. Perception can change, okay? Perception can change. I've shown you how perception was different in 2020. Why are we arguing right now? I'm literally losing my fucking mind, dude. I'm telling you, perception was different in 2020. In 2024, people are right-wing as fuck. Why are they right-wing as fuck? Because the Democrats have completely dropped it. They've dropped the ball entirely. Oh, unprofessional grifting hacks around this issue on the Dem left side. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. My mom arguing about criminal migrants, so I did a single good, found a CDP stat and showed her. Didn't know the stat existed beforehand. It took one Google. Anyway, like, what are we doing? When the right actually fucking hallucinate ourselves into the Fourth Reich, what are we supposed to do? No one is supposed to counter message against it because, like, I'm sorry, it's too powerful of a message. We are not left with this stupid situation because the entire immigrant framing is literally built on a house of cards. Okay? It's built on a house of cards. The irony is Democrats literally adopting the right-wing framing on the issue and claiming that immigration is a matter of national security is the worst thing that the Democrats could do. It's the worst thing because you've only legitimized their framing on it. It is the dumbest thing. A major fucking L for the Democrats and is costly. It's a costly electoral calculation and it's an abject fucking failure. This is the Democrats running scared once again. I fucking hate it. I will never stand for it. It's the Democrats running scared and wanting to hug and kiss the Republican Party because they want to fuck the Republicans. They want to be loved by the Republicans because they love the Republicans. They are Republicans in some instances. It's bad politics. It's bad policy. It's so perfectly old school Democratic Party. Holy fucking shit.
Like National Convention.
More. Where the fuck is the Jamel Bowie video? Let's finish this off.
And if an immigration bill is part of the legislative package under a Harris administration, I guarantee that immigration bill is going to be much less punitive than what the campaign's rhetoric might imply. So
yeah, this part is also not only hopium, but just like objectively false because he says like, oh, Democrats are going to push for a much more, Democrats are going to push for like a much more tolerant pathway to like a much more tolerant, like reform focused immigration bill. They haven't, they didn't. Kamala is running on the most right-wing anti-immigrant border bill with zero compromises for the Democrats in it. She was running currently on pushing that bill. She's running on the hypocrisy narrative. It's crazy.
That's just, you know, As always, people make whatever political decision to.
And luckily for the Democrats, the Republicans are too stupid to literally turn around and be like, these guys called us Nazis for wanting to build the border wall. Now they act like they want to build the border wall. What the fuck is that about? They're calling you a Nazi because you chanted build that border wall. Now they have a fucking package that they lied about that has fucking border. They have literally building the wall in it. We know they're not going to do it. They just want to win you over because they recognize that immigration is a problem. That's what the Republicans should be saying. Are you fucking quoting polling from fucking 2021? Seriously? No, Jamel Bowie was. You came late. Okay? That was an entirely separate conversation. Before we started talking about... No, dude, this is not the own that you think it is. That's a separate conversation. God damn it. Oh my God. Lib Bizzle, get with the fucking program. I'm not using polling from 3 years ago. That's a separate conversation that we were talking about before we got on a tangent on immigration. Please. Jesus fucking Christ. This is a totally separate conversation that has like one aspect of it is on immigration, but we were talking about something entirely different there. Holy fuck. He's not listening to anything I'm saying. He thinks that this is like, my dude, go to this link. Oh my God. Oh my God. Liberal Bizzle, you do not know. You came in late. You have no idea what we were talking about earlier. It is unrelated. You are scared to open it. No, I'm not. I've looked at this, dummy. What are you talking about? I've looked at this. I've looked at this so many times. This is a separate conversation. The immigrant... Oh my God. Liberal Bizzle, you need to stop. I know this, okay? That poll data was the one that Jamel Bowie was talking about when he was covering what percentage of the base of support in the Democratic Party is progressive, okay? That is an entirely separate conversation. Oh my God. Like a child walking in the middle of a movie, you're out of your element. I know. They would just say 23 undocumented murders is 23 too many and is proof that they should enforce border security even more. They use this argument in the UK regarding migrants committing crimes too. How do you argue as someone making that point? That is an insane way to try and fucking make a point like that, okay? You're talking about lighting a match when there's a fucking house on fire. Do you put out the house fire or do you focus on the guy lighting the match? It's like tens of thousands of homicides happen in the United States of America every fucking year. If you're literally talking about the 0.1%, you are delusional, okay? Didn't Ro Khanna say the same thing about 23 too many? Yes, and I literally repeated the same point that I made to him, okay? Yeah. 23 instances of homicide by undocumented migrants, so we have to deport 12 to 15 million people from U.S. soil? What kind of Hitlerian nonsense is this? Anyway, we're moving on from that. We're going to talk about this video as well. Because this person actually was talking about like the guy who chirped at me outside when I was leaving the DNC. But there's another point that she makes that I think is really good in this.
National Convention, Hassan Piker was heckled by a pro-Palestinian protester who called him a sellout.
Hey, I love the hat. You know I was at the protest yesterday, right? I was at the protest 1 day ago, brother. Wait, I'm sorry. What did you say? Get out of here? You think I'm your fucking enemy? You think I am against Palestinian emancipation? Honestly, get the fuck out of here. Fucking child. What do you mean, honestly, no? Why are you chirping at me then?
Don't call me a fucking child.
Because you're being a fucking child. Be an adult. Think clearly. Dumbass. Oh, he does. And I agree with him. So why the fuck's he yelling at me? Hey, what's up? Sure.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
1 or 2 days later, I don't remember and I don't care to research, Hassan was kicked out of his DNC suite midstream for being too pro-Palestine and too critical of the Democratic Party. I feel like seeing that chain of events was a perfect example of how hard it is to be a leftist. And sometimes it's because of other leftists. Like, you expect to get shit on by the establishment, but when it's coming from your own side, that's when it's really frustrating. I get why people give up on this political identity. It's hard to keep up with because you are constantly running into sanctimonious assholes who loudly declare they're a better leftist than you. Like,
I think that the only part of this that I like full blown agree with is like, yeah, we need to be more kind to other people that are, you know, ideologically on our side. And it's not even just me. I'm not even talking about myself. It's the same principle of like people yelling at fucking AOC. And I saw a tweet about this. I know people are going to be like, Hasan, you're a fucking asshole. Classic Hasan defending AOC. He loves AOC. Blah, 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 blah. But hold on. The argument is hold on. I got to unlock my door real quick and then look at my likes. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here. Genuinely becoming a, they never do this for Trump person, but like, why not do this to Richie Torres or Latimer or Goldman or Kelly or any of the hundreds of them politicians with worse taste than AOC? Okay. It's true. Like AOC is one of the like handful of politicians in general that has called Israel's actions genocidal. Okay. Like yelling at AOC is ridiculous because the reality is if the rest of the Democratic Party actually towed the same line as AOC did, we would be having a dramatically different conversation. Okay? Like, that's what I mean. Like, being critical of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is the most valid thing. Okay? She's a politician. She's not your friend. You are going to have disagreements. I certainly have my share of disagreements as well. Okay? Like, I mean, they did that to Pelosi and she just called them Chinese. Yeah, that was awesome. And also notice the people that did that to Pelosi were Code Pink, some of the fucking bravest anti-war warriors of all time. Okay? They're more locked in, I think, than these younger protesters in general. My goat, Medea Benjamin. I'm sad that I did not see her at the DNC. How is that framing any different than the KF saying why aren't pro-Palestinian protesters at Trump rallies instead of Kamala's? Great question, because Kamala Harris is a part of an administration that's currently doing a genocide. AOC also happens to be a part of the, not the administration, but the party, the Democratic Party, except AOC's opinions on that are dramatically different. I would probably be fucking door knocking right now if Kamala Harris called what Israel's doing a genocide. I would literally not be on stream right now. I'd be in a fucking bus touring the goddamn nation, door knocking at swing states if Kamala Harris came out and said what Israel's doing is a fucking genocide. Dumb fuck. What do you mean? That's my point. That's what I'm saying. If AOC and the way that she communicates, which at times can be wishy-washy on the issue of Gaza, but if AOC and the way that she communicates was translated to the broader Democratic Party at the top of the ticket, I would literally be door knocking for Kamala Harris right now. I'd be putting on my fucking Harris Walls hat and going to every door in Pennsylvania, okay? And begging them to fucking go out and vote for the Harris Walls ticket, okay? Hey, could I get you to lower the volume a bit? My neighbor at the end of the block is sleeping and can hear you. Maybe he'll hear the top of the hour ad break then, unless you subscribe, in which case he'll continue hearing me yell, okay? What does yelling at Ultra Zionist Richie Torres do? AOC and progressive members will actually respond to pressure and be more voiceful compared to Dems. But the problem there is, it's like fucking Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and AOC. There's like a handful of Democrats that haven't been fucking pushed out by AIPAC that are more critical in the way that you want every Democrat to be, okay? That's the point. What do you mean Richie Torres is not responsive? He's a fucking Democrat. What are we talking about? I want the rest of the Democratic Party to move on AOC's position, towards AOC's position. King, it made me laugh out loud when you said someone complained at the hotel. Yeah, I know. Safavid Mehdi, thank you for the 10 gifted. Steve the Scrub Lord, thank you for the 10 gifted. Allowing 20 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Here's the 3-minute ad break now, by the way. I think in the DNC, you got a sliver of the constant back and forth of what she goes working through, working with the Democratic Party, a little bit of it. Why do the Chabo Boys criticize her then? Because the Chapa Boys are probably right, okay? Their fears or their anger and their resentment comes from people who portray themselves as progressive that might not be all that progressive when push comes to shove, when they're actually within proximity to power. And what you need to understand is I myself have those considerations and fears as well, but I operate still within the confines of the Democratic Party and not outside of it, because I see that there is still, like, no matter what, even if all of my advocacy leads to absolutely nothing, right? even if all my advocacy absolutely leads to nothing, or it only marginally moves the needle in a positive direction, I'm still going to do it. Okay. I have a different analysis. I love the Chapo boys. Everyone works in a different way. My approach obviously is still going to be within the confines of one of the two major parties at the end of the day. Okay. That's it. You understand? It's always a multi-prong attack. It's always going to work like that. Anyway, Representative Moskowitz claimed even folks supported by AIPAC are for a ceasefire when we talked to him today at the DNC. But is what they support really a ceasefire? The current deal the U.S. is supporting is not actually a permanent ceasefire, does not withdraw the Israeli military from Gaza, and does not allow Palestinians to return to their homes in the northern parts of the Gaza Strip. Moskowitz has taken $185,000 from AIPAC and pro-Israel lobby groups.
Hello, how are you doing?
Didn't you just win your primary?
I won, but I ran against nobody.
Oh, well, that makes it easy to win.
So thank you.
So we hear that the Democrats are working tirelessly for a ceasefire.
Well, I've been through a ceasefire for months now in exchange for the hostages. That's not been any change for months. I think the Democratic Party and even folks supported by AIPAC are for a ceasefire in exchange for hostages.
Yeah, but they're not for a permanent ceasefire. They're for a bridge.
No, hold on. I'm for a permanent ceasefire in exchange for the hostages.
So what are you doing to pressure Israel to accept that?
Well, look, I think the administration and Democrats are pressuring Israel. Okay, there's tremendous pressure on Israel. What I can't do is pressure Sinwar, who's sitting in a bunker, okay, to take.
He's so Reddit, dude. He is the most Reddit, okay? No one has been this Reddit. Unbelievably Reddit guy.
Take a deal.
So Hamas agreed to the deal
That's
that was...
Like, he's so Reddit. He's so Reddit that it's not even his, like liberal brand of Zionism that frustrates me as much. It's the Redditing that does it for me. I can't get over it, dude. I can't get over the fact that there is literally a governor that is like, he's done some interesting things on the immigrant front too, which is crazy. But I mean, he is such a fucking neoliberal. Like, I can't even. I can't even get over that front. Like, I can't even give him his fucking flowers because he's a moderator at r/neoliberal.
Hey, but I also just want to say that the best way to get a ceasefire is...
It's Moskowitz. I'm confusing him with Jared Polis. Oh my God, it's Jared Moskowitz. I'm sorry. I'm doing an anti-Semitism.
to stop sending the weapons that are killing people every day.
So again,
Yeah, Moskowitz is so much worse. Never mind. Yeah. I did an anti-white racism.
the Qataris, the Egyptians, and the Jordanians have said Israel has accepted the framework of this ceasefire that we're talking about, and we're waiting on Sinwar. That was the news yesterday.
They have said that it's a different ceasefire than the one that was offered, and the one that was offered
well,
is the one that Hamas agreed to.
Every deal changes as this goes on, right? And so, like, this is the deal on the table now.
This is a bridge ceasefire.
All right. Anyway, this is besides the point. Oh, Medea Benjamin. No one will ever make me hate you, Medea. I fucking love old school anti-war protesters, some of which are cranks. It doesn't fucking matter to me.
Yep.
I love them. Okay. They're the best. All right. Let's move on to RFK Jr. Okay. Let's move on to RFK Jr. And I need to pee before I pee my pants.
Hour here with a closer look at the race for the presidency. So joining us now, our ABC White House correspondent, Mary Alice Parks, and NPR White House correspondent and ABC News contributor, Uzma Khalid. Welcome to you both. Good morning. Mary Alice, let's start with you because RFK Jr.'s endorsement just happened of Donald Trump. This will be interesting to watch because, you know, we got to figure out which candidate will benefit from that endorsement and where those voters will go, right?
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of split messaging overnight from Democrats. The party saying basically good riddance. He always had the backing of Trump donors. They said that this was inevitable because that's where sort of his support had been. But you saw the Harris team really make a direct appeal to his voters, saying for those who want to turn the page on Trump, there's a place in her campaign for them. You know, it's been interesting to watch both parties kind of argue about who he would hurt more. I do think that the last month after Biden dropped out of the race and Harris took over the ticket, Democrats were then pretty convinced that he was actually going to hurt Trump more. But originally, they fought really hard to keep him off the ballot in key battleground states. You know, the 538 modeling shows that he has actually been pulling almost exactly evenly from Trump and Harris voters. Like you said, sort of big question still about where exactly his voters go. I think there's a lot of time still to tell. Do they bother voting at all? It'll be really interesting to see, though, guys, whether he actually goes out and campaigns with Trump as well.
Yeah, that'll be something to watch closely. All right, Asma, to you now, because we saw Kamala Harris using part of her speech at the Democratic National Convention to reintroduce herself to the American public. Did she accomplish that?
Yeah, I mean, she had two main goals coming into the convention, I would say. One was to reintroduce herself, and the second was to prove that she could be commander-in-chief. You know, one thing she did, and I've heard a lot of Kamala Harris speeches these last 5 years, she doesn't talk a whole lot about her personal story. But what she did this week in Chicago was weave her personal story as the daughter of immigrants into the broader American story. I would say it was something that we heard from her that was really distinct. You know, the other thing, though, about reintroducing herself was to prove subtly that a woman could do this job. She doesn't talk a whole lot about gender identity, but I think with her focus on foreign policy and being a commander-in-chief, that was the message she was trying to sell. Look, the Democrats in the room certainly convinced. The big question now is if the broader public is. And I would say the polling is tight. Democrats know the polling is tight. So the next big test will be that debate on September 10th.
Yeah, Nazma, you say the Democrats are convinced. We have the benefit of having Mary Bruce, our chief White House correspondent, here on the desk, because you were there at the DNC all week. And when you look at Kamala Harris's speech, it really seems like it was directed at moderates, at independents, even Republicans.
Yeah, it certainly was. She really was making that appeal to those key independent voters who, of course, are going to be the ones to determine this race. Look, I think for
Yeah, they're definitely, that's it. That's right. It's the independent voters that are going to determine this race. And they fucking hate independent voters. You're making me laugh when you said you did an anti-Semitism. I'm trying to weld and you're fucking up my beads.
For both parties, the bases are pretty cooked. We certainly saw a big display of Democratic unity there. So she was, you know, in that speech, casting herself really as a change agent and making a direct appeal. I think you also heard from Republicans every single night of the convention, which, of course, is intentional, trying to reach out to those Republicans who aren't satisfied with Donald Trump. Yes, and, you know, you had superstars like Oprah Winfrey coming out there and reminding folks she, too, is an independent. And as Mary Alice was saying, you know, they're now reaching out to RFK Jr.'s voters, so they are certainly hoping that they can ride this momentum and get more independents, you know, get those key voters, get some Republicans to come onto the Harris team.
And speaking of Republicans, let's go back to Mary Alice here, because we saw Republicans attacking the Democrats' message of joy and hope, saying that it doesn't.
Was the reason Bortak was able to claim a constitution-free zone 100 miles within the U.S. borders because of fake numbers of fake statistics that Democrats didn't push back on? No, that was like way before. That is that I would say is a post 9/11 situation. Post 9/11. Hassan doesn't care about trade workers confirmed. Yeah.
Pay the bills at the end of the day. So what more can you tell us about the GOP plans to counter that message from Democrats?
Yeah, exactly that. And look, voters have told us all along that the economy is the most important issue in this race. And I think we're going to hear Republicans continue to say that for all this talk of goodwill about protecting freedoms, that doesn't pay the bills. But look, that's a double-edged sword, because as much as Republicans might criticize Democrats for being light on policy, they too have been pretty light on economic policy. And the reality is a lot of Republican speeches are also focused on cultural issues. So I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on both of these campaigns to explain more in detail about what exactly they will do if they win the White House again. And it was interesting, too, to watch Harris, you know, be pretty light on the economy. She did not come out and sound like a big progressive there on that stage. When she talked about the economy, she actually really talked about things in terms of Trump, saying things like she would make sure to protect the Affordable Care Act. Guys.
Mary Alice Parks and Asma Khalid, thank you so much for joining us. And Mary Bruce right here on The Dust. Thank you all for that.
Americans can't trust what's on the ingredient label RFK Jr. So Robert Fuckboy Kennedy Jr. What a story. What a complex guy. What a hero. The best the Kennedys have to offer. This man ran the funniest campaign I have ever seen. Okay? My man, even better, the F stands for Francis. See how he left this Kennedy alive as a fuck you to the whole family dynasty? Yes. I mean, what a fucking hero. What a goat. What is this? I'm seeing tweets like this all the time. Oh my God, how did I ratio us on this hard? I can't believe I'm saying this, but this speech is way too Trump focused. She's running against Trump, 42,000 likes, because Hasan is literally so dumb and annoying. How much you want to bet all these people were like also talking about, how we can't swap out Biden with Harris. Terrible fucking instincts. She's running against Trump. Yeah, dude, so was Hillary Clinton. Talk about your policies. I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. Oh, man, who linked Hasanabi this? I never agree with Hasan, but the Democrats spent the entire time dissing Trump while Trump spent his whole time giving his plan to keep America going up. The speech was mostly about her. Am I remembering it wrong? Because he's a dumbass and people tired of it and like you speaking the truth. Feel like this guy often says service level political knowledge, but deliver with the utmost confidence that it makes it seem like he's actually saying more than he is. This is the reason why I personally show you all of the times when I'm literally fucking correct. I think this was a dumb joke attempt and all the Nazis all thought they were making fun of you. This is how you know she crushed it. Sorry, I'm not an unwavering liberal who gets rock hard hearing about having the most lethal military in the world and wanting to continue supporting a genocidal apartheid state that is America's puppet in the region. We're about to have an incredibly whack foreign policy if she stays this course, like way worse than it is now. I know. Like, this is how you know she crushed it. Dude, Hutch. Hey, Hutch. Maybe you should see yourself out of this conversation when the fucking people with actual knowledge on politics are having the convo, you know? Just saying. Remember when you were talking about how Biden should stay in the race? Go pay Michael his money, okay? Michael from Pennsylvania, Central_Committee. Don't you have $500 you owe the man for a bet? Hasan, you are never wrong. Look at this shit. Ah, yes! Yes, I told you. Did I not tell you? Did I not fucking tell you? Woo! We never left with the coconut emoji. With the coconut, we never left. Biden bros, we never left. Now has the coconut emoji on the fucking description. Perfect. Chef's kiss. Chef's fucking kiss. Maybe you should listen to people who know a little bit more than you do. I'm just saying, 10 plus years on Twitter. Jesus Christ. You know what? I'm going to fucking quote tweet Hutch. Oh, that feels good. That feels good. Stop falling for drama bait. Okay, let me fucking live a little bit, dude. Let me live La Vida Loca a little bit. Blast it. I'm a petty bitch, okay? Bro, you could be right about everything and it wouldn't matter. If you said the earth is round, they would all be flat earthers by tomorrow. It's so funny that, like, there was a brief moment where everybody was like, oh, hold up, maybe this guy was right. And then they immediately, the first sign of me, like, criticizing Harris, they immediately went back to the same attitude. One principle only. Hasanabi Piker. That's it. If you do that, if you constantly run contrarian narratives, you're going to find yourself being a fucking dumbass on the timeline, you know? I wonder if I would have disliked you when I was an 18-year-old liberal. Probably. It's funny because he can't even translate his Twitter audience to watch him on Twitch. I mean, yeah. Leftists gatekeep the term left. They consider Democrats center right and claim exclusive rights to said term. Oh my God, please. Okay, we're done. We're done on that front. We ain't doing that. prank idea. You should pick a random topic to make a firm, serious take and then see who goes against it just because it's you. I mean, I already do that every time. I do that every fucking time. Every time I do anything, every time I have a firm, committed position on anything, no matter how fucking smart it is, people immediately find themselves against it. They immediately start fucking loudly proclaiming that I'm wrong. Hold on. I'm not done. I'm going to do the Robbie Rihanna freak too. I probably won't do the other one though. I probably won't do the other one. It's fine. That's like an irrelevant random account. But the point is this, okay? The point is this. You might be fucking getting excited about how many likes you got in this situation, but ultimately you found yourself on the wrong side of history and you found yourself being completely wrong. So all I ask of you, Robbie, Rihanna Freak 20, is to remember that moment in your mind. Why were you so wrong and why was I so right? Perhaps I'm not wrong when I say, I can't believe I'm saying this, but this speech is way too Trump focused. It's probably not a good idea to hyper focus on Trump to this degree, just like Hillary Clinton did. Okay? That's the issue. You kept Twitter on your phone, didn't you? Lol, delete it? No, I didn't. I deleted it. Bro couldn't decipher why you said, I can't believe I'm saying this. Yeah. Did you just show my tweet, lol? Did Hassan just show my tweet? I think I did. Somewhere around here. I don't know which one your tweet was, but Biden will be the nominee. The fucking mainstream media outlet Weld had the gall to say the speech was barely about Trump. We're so cucked. I think Trump folks makes a little more sense in light of his presidency, but yeah, still not a good idea. No, you have to talk about Trump. Obviously, you're running against Trump. I don't think it's like, I don't think that is the issue, but too much focus on Trump is an issue. Okay, it needs to be a good balance. There needs to be a good balance. When you talk about Trump, you shouldn't just talk about Trump. You should also talk about the policies. Okay, you should talk about why. You should talk about why it's bad. I rely on Hutch for your political takes. You absolutely deserve to get cooked. If you rely on Hutch for your political takes, you absolutely deserve to get cooked. To be honest, mandatory precipitated ego death. That's why the focus groups that gave her high marks even literally fucking said, we wanted to hear more policy. Okay? People want to hear from her. People want to hear what she has to fucking give them. That's understandable. That's a normal thing. Okay?
RFK Jr. is throwing his support behind Donald Trump, in part because he and the former president agree on a number of key issues. And that includes the American diet and what's in our food.
I also want to salute Bobby's decades of work as an advocate for the health of our families and our children. Nobody's done more.
We talked about, not about the things that separate us because we don't agree on everything, but on the values and the issues that bind us together. And one of the issues that he talked about was having safe food and ending the chronic disease epidemic. And don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
Before his announcement,
Yeah, that's the guy. The guy who's healthy, who wants to make America healthy. Two healthy guys on that stage. Okay.
spoke with Kennedy about this very topic and a potential position in the Trump White House. Take a look. I thought it'd be great to just kind of look at some of these items because parents are encountering these food items in grocery stores everywhere. Maybe we could just start right here with seed oils. We're hearing a lot about seed oils. Why should people be worried about these kind of products?
Seed oils are one of the...
Oh, God. Oh, my Lord. This is exactly the kind of dumbass shit that is so good for, like, the middle America morning show watchers, bro. I swear to fucking God. Oh, my Lord. I hate this shit so much. It's just like, it frustrates me to no fucking end. Okay? It sucks because the American diet is dog shit, okay? American food safety standards are fucking dog shit. And I despise with all of my heart people that look at that, correctly point that out, and then fucking turn around and tell you like, and that's why you need to have an oyster a day, and that will actually make your penis more virile. Like, shut the fuck up! What the fuck are you saying? What is wrong with you? That's why you need colloidal silver and raw milk. It's like, I want to fucking die, dude.
The most unhealthy ingredients that we have in foods and seed oils, the reason they're in the foods is because they're heavily subsidized. They're very, very cheap, but they are associated with all kinds of very, very serious illnesses, including body-wide inflammation.
Right.
Which affects all of our health. It's one of the worst things you can eat, and it's almost impossible to avoid. If you eat any processed food, you're going to be eating seed oil.
Right, and it's interesting, the government subsidizes it. Why would the government want to subsidize something that's going to make people sick? And then, in the end, we all end up paying for that in terms of healthcare costs, which are skyrocketing.
Yeah, because that is a direct result of corruption. About 75% of FDA's budget comes from regulated industry, and that means food processors and pharmaceutical industry. All of them profit from a sick population.
You know, a big item that, and by the way, it's getting very expensive, are cereals. Why is the food coloring in particular bad?
Food coloring, you see here yellow food coloring, that is a petroleum product. Mm-hmm. It's associated with really, you know, with depression. It's associated with autoimmune injuries and ADHD.
Yeah.
These, and red dye also is, you know, is very bad. In Europe, the same companies are producing the same products, but they're using natural coloring. But here they can get away with it. We have about almost 1,000 chemicals that are in our food that are either outright banned in Europe or actively discouraged. So you wouldn't be able to buy this kind of stuff in Europe. You ask about why it's so cheap, why it's so ubiquitous. It's because we subsidize the worst foods. We subsidize it with about 70% of our food stamp program is to process foods, which are all poison.
Right. One of the things that's interesting.
Like, if you're poor, you have to starve. Like, again, like so close to the truth, yet so unimaginably far. Like, how do you get to the doorstep and just take a fucking sprint in the exact opposite direction? Like, it makes no fucking sense. And it's tied to like the dumbest shit because he is also anti-medicine. Okay? Don't Republicans think Europe is gay? What the fuck are you saying? Like, the big difference within European standards is the standards. It's more regulation. You're calling for more regulation as you just endorsed the anti-regulation candidate, and you're on Fox News on a program that in other instances is talking about deregulation. Like, that's the difference, right? That's the difference. They have no one who's autistic is such a fucking dumb argument that you're making, okay? Autism in Europe famously because eating cigarettes for breakfast, which is why I sound like this.
Interesting is you'll see on labels natural flavors, which is this catch-all phrase that I guess was lobbied for. But
yeah, he says no autism. Has he ever met anybody from Finland? That's a great take. No autism in Europe. Excuse me, have you seen the fucking pro-NATO community on Twitter?
The ingredients in natural flavors are not really natural.
No. In our country, natural flavors are chemical products. So you can't trust what's on the ingredient label. And the reason for that, again, is government corruption. It's that the agency, the USDA, the FDA, have been captured by the industry.
I'm not against vaccines or modern medicine, but doesn't some food just objectively have harmful chemicals in it? Why can't it be normal and just talk about it instead of trying to do this shit? Yes. It is objectively true. And also, the food industry has captured the FDA. That is also true. Just like the pharmaceutical industry also plays a significant role in this process. The problem is, if you want European-style regulation, it's more of the FDA, okay? Not less of the FDA.
They're supposed to regulate, and they all have an interest in subsidies and then in mass poisoning the American public.
Yeah, I want to talk about pesticides, and then let's talk about the policy. So let's talk about the pesticides and the things that worry you about. I mean, this looks like fresh food, right? What should I be worried about here?
Yeah, I mean, the irony is, like, for example, my wife loves kale, and she had the impression that kale is actually good for you. If it's organic, it's very good for you. But most kale and strawberries, for example, grapes, are contaminated with pesticides. And
Yeah, pro move from RFK staying on the ballot in blue states, by the way. That is like, I mean, he's like very clearly trying to tilt it in favor of Trump. Not that it fucking matters. I don't know if it's like correct or not. I don't even know if that's like, that's something that I've heard as well. I don't even know how that fucking works, to be fair. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. So
whether you would accept a position on the ticket if Trump asked you, and I think your response was, that would be devastating to my marriage.
I think Bobby knows
he's going to be on the ballot in North Carolina and Nevada. At least those states already started printing.
me very well.
Okay.
I think that's the answer.
That's
also why he's not saying anything right now.
If Trump asked you, and I think your response was, that would be devastating to my marriage.
I think Bobby knows me very well.
Okay.
I think that's the answer.
That's
also why he's not saying anything right now.
I think that's your answer.
You had been asked.
I think liberals and progressives tend to overcorrect when countering some of these crank narratives that contains grains of truth. Like, you shouldn't just put your blind faith in these greedy, corrupt institutions just to own right-wingers. It's important to actually look into these things thoroughly and not just cite scientific studies sponsored by the industries that peddle them. What? Uh-oh. I mean, sure, but the point is that there are definitely harmful chemicals in a lot of the food, and it's especially bad in America, and I think it's foolish to be obtuse or reductive about that. You will never catch me fucking speaking on this issue as though it is a bad thing. Okay? I already recognized and literally said RFK is not wrong when he says that Americans eat poison. Okay? That is correct. He's not wrong about that. And also, he's right when he talks about how Europe doesn't eat the same poison that Americans do. He's right on that front as well.
Can't fight fire with water.
The problem is where he takes that correct argument.
particularly the Environmental Working Group has found what they call the dirty dozen, some of the worst pesticides on these products. So, you know,
You're getting called out on the Miz event? Wait, what? What is Hassan got called out? For what? Someone just called you out? For what reason? Someone called you out to come to Texas? They said you banned from Texas? Okay. All right, someone sent me the clip. Sure, bud. He called you a bitch? Okay. Let's watch.
Hello, guys. Killer Cam over here. All I gotta say, Hassan, you banned from Texas, boy. If I see you, it's on sight. Yeah, boy. Your little channel is garbage. Nobody wanna listen to that, boy. You know what I'm saying? With people from Texas, I bet you get no balls to come step in Texas, boy. Get out of here.
Who is this guy? Is he one of the dudes fighting? That's so funny. Why are you so pressed?
There you go. A message to,
camera was
I think
on,
that was a
but we
message
heard
to who I believe to be my best friend, Hassan Piker. So, it was.
What?
It was. The
What
Hassan
did he
Piker.
do to make that nigga so
Who's the guy? Who's the guy? Oh, man. Dude gets punched in the mouth for a living and he thinks you're stupid? Yeah, I know. No, I know that's Will, but who's the guy who's talking shit? Some random fighter? He was an amateur fighter from earlier? Let me see him. Another one from Texas?
You know,
Yeah, okay, dude. It's Canute. Get out of here. Killer Cam. Does he not understand that you've been on stream multiple times on stream? Yeah, and I've also gone to the gym that he's talking shit from. It was the red gloves guy talking. Wait.
I wanna listen to that, boy. You know what I'm saying? With people from Texas, I bet you get no balls to come step in Texas, boy.
I mean, I do have the balls to come step in Texas, and I will continue to step foot in Texas as I please. Not that guy. Wait, it was this guy? That's the guy who's talking shit? It's insane how you have some rabid haters that your entire community have little to zero knowledge of, just living rent-free in their heads. It's the dude with the blue gloves. Like, turns out the guy is crazy.
Well, I'm gonna be the best fighter in the game. When you try me with a sorry fighter like Josh Howell Gomez, that's what you gonna get. Don't you ever talk about me.
Dude, I fucking love, yo. Yo, what the fuck? Oh my God. Why does he look like train wrecks?
This fool started talking about he gonna spank me, get some pizza. Yeah, go get that pizza, boy. Put my jizz all over it, boy.
That's right.
Yeah! What's
Oh, he's a Trump supporter? Yeah, I mean.
up? Give me the title next. What's up? I'm here for anybody.
He looks like a crossover between Ice Poseidon and train wrecks.
Now, for the first round, it was a little bit hectic, and it looked like you were on the ropes a little bit.
It ain't over till it's over.
But it's not over until it's over, and the second round, you absolutely came in and destroyed it. How are you feeling right now?
Ooh. Anybody else want to fight? I'm right here. Who want another show? Who want another show? I feel great. Let's go again. I'll fight till I die. I don't care. Yeah, follow my IG, Killer Cam UFC. I'm from Houston.
This guy's awesome. Yo.
Damn, this guy's good.